Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another episode.
Assalamualaikum, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, so this one is Somali parents in the West not helping their kids get married. And what is the reason for this? One of the things I've noticed compared to other ethnicities, such as Arab and Desi, where it seems like their families are typically more involved in the search and looking for potential suitors, or even the father approaching a guy and asking him if he wants to get to know his daughter. I don't hear about this happening in the Somali community. It feels like, for the most part, parents are pretty hands off and not involved in any way. Is the reason for this just due to culture, or is it a pride it's considered ebb? To clarify, I'm not talking about arranged marriages, but I'm talking about just recommending others to one another.
Somali community, they don't do that.
Yeah.
It's mainly
Why?
in Arab communities where they share, not share, but they talk about, so and so, this family is single. Why don't you blah blah blah, right? Trust me, if Somali communities get together, there'll be a lot more successful marriages.
Do you think so?
I believe so.
Really?
I have a
I don't know.
because a lot of people don't. Most anyways. I have my cousin who is divorced. Family were not really involved from the beginning. Not along, even worse at the end, even at the end. So it's family. I mean, some other community, they're just you know
But why
you
are they
tell them
hands
you're
off?
getting married, and then the party happens, and halas,
Yeah.
and then it's done. Why is that?
Is that culture, or is that just
It's just how it is. There are certain things, all they care, most Somali community, all they care is about tribes. That's the only thing that they really want to, know about.
and we know nothing about tribes? I feel like with
I personally don't.
generation, we know less and less about tribes.
Yeah.
Or from speaking for myself, anyways.
When I told my family member that I might get married, the first thing they said, "What tribe? What was her background? Who's her family?" So these type of things, to me, is just
Unimportant.
those certain things that your family, the old school, your uncles, your grandparents, your dad might ask. But when it comes to us, and inshallah, when our kid get married, as long as the person is in the deen and it's in Islam, that's my only concern. And after obviously other things,
Their character.
yeah, other things will happen, but the main
that all goes into one thing. I feel like it falls into one. Like, if the person has
character,
deen, then they have good akhlaq.
no, not
They
really,
have
not
okay.
really. Yeah, everyone is different. Everyone has his own journey.
True. Yeah.
But us as deen, our
Yeah.
family was tribes.
Yeah. And I think that is kind of like from the culture side of things, where people really don't know to what extent they should get involved. Like, actually, funny enough, my sister, because I was raised by my sister, did recommend people, but I just feel like, for myself, I just wasn't in that headspace when it happened. So I think also the way they do it is different, because it's not when you're actually ready. Does that make sense? Where it's like, um where other cultures like the Arab and the Desi families, I feel like it's just the way that it's been. Is it good? I think it's good, and I don't think it determines whether a marriage will be successful or not, though, because I think the two people getting married kind of determines that.
Yeah, but if families are involved,
to what extent?
To both parents,
like bring these people together.
So most of the time, Somali people, once they get married, halas, unless you visit my side, whatever happens, barbecue, get together, and then I go to your side.
Yeah.
There's never like the whole family gets together. You will never see that.
No. That's kind of not. I get what you mean, but it's more of like, there's no guidance in the marriage. I feel like there's no prep work. There's no like,
of course,
like, hey, maybe you guys should do
Because
like marriage counseling. Maybe you guys should, take these steps in order to make sure that you guys are like, or have these conversations. Talk about this. Talk about raising children. Talk about like,
Yeah, but they didn't say it themselves.
Yeah, but they've been married,
Yeah,
right?
but they didn't get that themselves.
Okay, so that's
they
why.
don't really see it.
And I think we are going to be clear about this. We are only talking about what we have experienced. Like, I'm sure not everybody's going through it the same way. Maybe some families are really involved, mashallah, but I just think it's a culture thing. I think it's ebb, and people really don't want to get into others' businesses unless you kind of like call them and you say, hey, like I'm kind of having a situation with my husband or my wife, and this is how I would want you to kind of intervene. I think it's ebb.
So you want
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But what do you prefer? Do you want the Somali community to get more involved?
Yeah,
Do you think that's gonna help?
I think it will help in the sense of like the prep work, right? Like
Which
I said,
which prep work?
the pre-marriage, what happens before the marriage other than the party. Like I feel like there's a lot of focus that goes into like, are you gonna have a wedding? You should have a wedding. Are you gonna do this? How many people are inviting? What's the food gonna be? How's the decor gonna be? Like all that stuff I feel like was very stressful to me. So I didn't really have time to focus on working on communication, like, okay, like dealing with hard topics in the sense of like, how do you want to raise your kids? Like, how do you see? We talked about, briefly touched on that, but I feel like that's because you were previously married and you wanted to kind of clarify those questions. But had it not been for that, I wouldn't know all the right things to ask. So the way I would have liked people to show up for me and be there for me would to be like, take these classes, like learn about this. I could have done it myself too, and I can't really put that on other people, but it would have been nice because when you are going into marriage, you're kind of in la la land where you're like, oh, it's gonna be beautiful, it's gonna work out, and all this, and
the honeymoon phase.
pretty much, right? So I feel like I know for myself, the conversations I will have with my children are, inshallah, when they do get to that age, and inshallah, if we're both there for that, both alive for that, it would be very intense questions like, what do you want out of this? How are you going to fix conflicts? Like, I know my children, so I'll be like, this is the part you need to work on in order for your marriage to succeed. And this is what you should work like. These are the steps you should take. My conversation with my daughter and my boys would be completely different in different ways. You would be having the conversation with the boys. I would be having conversation with them too, in order to kind of let them know how it is with a wife, how sensitive you have to be, how like attentionate you have to be. They're learning that seeing us too, but I think those are things I wish I had more of. That's my take. So I think it is.
I know, but yeah, but honestly, the more and more we see our generation, like your friends who just got married, and some of them who are already married with kids, you can see a difference.
I know what sense.
Like you see their family and his family are more involved. Both family members are involved.
Yeah, I think people are involved only for the good parts, though.
No. Like even raising the kids, they take breaks, and the parents are in the house. They talk about some of the things that the kids do and give them the insight. Hey, you should do this more, and you should do this instead.
That's if you're lucky enough to have a parent be involved with you hands-on like
yeah,
that,
of course. But the thing is, at least we see that now.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Versus,
But the marital issue is still not something they're gonna get involved with. Because it's seen as aib. Like, wallahi, it's genuinely like
I don't think it's seen as aib, because if there's a problem, the
unless
family
we
have
call
to try
on
to
them.
fix
That's what I mean. Unless we call on them,
Yeah.
right? And here the question is, should parents be involved in setting their kids up, in trying to set their kids up? Like if I know, let's just say of a mom that has a kid that's a really good kid, mashallah, and like very successful kid, and
You want to set it up for the future.
No. Like I'm saying when Aisha's at an age, let's just say where she's ready to get married, right? Like obviously that's years down the line, inshallah. But when she's at that age, like would I can be like, hey, you know what? Like there's this kid like that's around the same age as you. He's also looking to get married. Like he's good, mashallah. Like I only know good things. Like,
but you don't believe in what do you call it?
Setting up?
Yeah, like well, how do you call it?
Matchmaking.
Like arranged marriage,
But that's not arranged. The person
that's like arranged
no,
marriage.
It's not arranged marriage because you're still leaving that decision up to them. Arranged marriage is you get no decision.
Yeah.
This is who you're marrying, and that's that, right? So I would definitely, of course, if I know good kids, mashallah, like today, like there's a good boy or like I know their parents, I know that they're coming from good families, I would definitely introduce my kids to them. I would want them to give them a chance. Like, hey, you know what? Even like come over. I'll tell them like come over with your kid, and then kind of like let them kind of vibe it out, or like I would do that. I know I would, because I wouldn't just be like, oh, I'm leaving it up to my kids to decide, and then not
Yeah, but it's not Arab.
interfere.
No, it's not Arab. It's good, but it's not considered Arab. When it comes to our community versus the Arab community, the Arab people are
much more
hands-on.
involved. Oh yeah.
They're hands-on.
Yeah.
They read about their family, which is a good thing, alhamdulillah. I wish we had this, but inshallah we can change.
Yeah, of course. Our generation, I feel like, is working more towards that.
Yeah, definitely.
Being more mindful of that and just breaking cycles, inshallah. So I think to answer the question in general, they're not involved because it's Arab. They see it as Arab. It hasn't been done for them before. They don't really know how to go about it most times. And even if they do want to ask you questions, they'll be like, oh, am I being
too... what Arab means?
Arab is like...
Anyone knows.
Sorry, Arab is like, it's taboo. Like, it's wrong. It's like, it's seen wrong to like call up someone, and be like, hey, so like, how are things going with you and your husband? Like, is there any way that I can help you? What's the latest conflict you guys had? How'd you guys resolve it? Like, those are questions, wallahi, I would want to ask my children. Like when they do get married.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes that helps them talk to you, and that helps them be like, oh, you know what? I can turn to my parents. They've been married for X amount of years. Like, they've had trouble. They fought before and they resolved those fights. So I think we are the best people that can give our children advice. So being involved, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do see how it would be considered Arab or like culturally wrong to do that in our community and the experiences we've had anyways.
If your child marries someone outside the community, then you have to, learn more about their culture and their background to better understand how you can attack the situation.
Yeah.
But in our Somali community, we definitely do need to work on that. So
inshallah, inshallah, our generation will, and the next generation and stuff like that, like we will be able to kind of set up that foundation. But that's our take on that. Let us know.
This is why we started Safe2Talk, so we can
address those
things and start something new and give other Somali people to see that they're not alone.
And let's get comfortable with the uncomfortable conversations.
Yep.
Wallahi, like we grew up, everything was everything is like wrong. Everything is like haram. Like everything is extreme, right? And let's start asking the hard questions. There's nothing wrong with those. You guys leave comment in this video and let us know what you guys think. What would be the reason why families don't get involved? And maybe you guys will bring points that we haven't come across or we even didn't consider, right? To leave comments, like, subscribe, inshallah.
And share.
And share, definitely.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.